On a frozen January afternoon in 1996, an Olympic champion stood in his driveway fixing a car radio. A black Lincoln Town car rolled up. Behind the wheel sat the man who had paid for every medal Dave Schultz ever won, the man Dave called Coach. 3 gunshots later, the snow turned red, and the only member of the Forbes 400 ever convicted of murder drove away. Tonight we walk the silent fields of Foxcatcher Farm, where gold medals hung beside loaded guns and where one man's fortune bought everything except his sanity. Before we slip into tonight's tale, I want to take a moment to thank you, our listeners, for being here with us in the dark. If you're loving true crime sleep stories, please consider giving us a 5-star rating and review on your favorite podcast platform. It helps us reach more listeners and keep these haunting tales coming your way. And if you'd like to go a step further, you can become a Patreon member at patreon.com/KellyBrink. There you'll get ad-free episodes and exclusive bonus content to feed your true crime curiosity. Now we'll hear briefly from our sponsors before we dive into your uninterrupted story. We'll be right back. Welcome back to True Crime Sleep Stories. Turn down the lights, pull the blanket close, and let the room go quiet. Outside, a January wind moves across the Pennsylvania countryside. Inside, a story is waiting to settle over you like snow. On January 26, 1996, Nancy Schultz stood at her kitchen window slicing carrots for dinner. She heard 3 sharp cracks. Through the frost, she watched her husband Dave collapse beside his Toyota station wagon. A black Lincoln idled in the driveway. John Eleuthère du Pont sat behind the wheel in his red Foxcatcher jacket. Nancy ran outside barefoot, screaming. John raised a .44 Magnum toward her, then lowered it. He reversed down the snowy lane and disappeared toward the mansion. 2 days later, Delaware County SWAT teams surrounded the 47-room Leaseter Hall. For 48 hours, negotiators begged John to surrender. He refused. On the second night, with the temperature at 12 degrees, police shut off the mansion's heat. John stepped outside in a thin shirt to restart the boiler. Floodlights snapped on. Officers tackled him in the snow. Inside the house, they found 27 firearms, a bulletproof vest, cocaine residue, and a legal pad titled, "People Who Want Me Dead." John Eleuthère du Pont was born on November 22, 1938, in a 67-room mansion built by his grandfather on land once owned by William Penn. His parents divorced when he was 2. His mother, Jean Leicester Austin du Pont, raised champion Guernsey cattle and Welsh ponies on the estate. His father was almost never there. John's only childhood friend was a neighbor boy his mother paid $25 a month to play with him. He collected seashells, more than 1 million of them. He collected bird eggs, the second largest private collection in North America. He collected stamps, including the British Guiana 1-cent magenta, one of only 2 known copies. When he traveled, he slept with the stamp under his pillow. He earned a legitimate Bachelor of Science in Zoology from the University of Miami in 1965. He never earned the PhD he sometimes claimed. Villanova didn't even offer a doctoral biology program in 1973, but they did award him an honorary doctorate, and that was enough for the letterhead. In 1957, at age 19, he founded the Delaware Museum of Natural History on land donated by his cousin. He led expeditions to the Philippines and South Pacific and discovered 24 bird species. To the outside world, he was a philanthropist, a scientist, a patron of the arts. But something else was growing inside Leicester Hall. In the summer of 1984, brothers Mark and Dave Schultz each won Olympic gold in freestyle wrestling on the same day in Los Angeles. They were broke. USA Wrestling paid nothing. Mark considered joining the Marines just to eat. That same summer, 45-year-old John DuPont tried out for the modern pentathlon team and failed spectacularly. So he did what the DuPonts had done for 2 centuries. He bought his way in. He converted his mother's dairy barn into a 14,000-square-foot wrestling cathedral. 16 regulation mats, an Olympic pool, a 50-meter shooting range, weight rooms with mirrored walls. He named it the Foxcatcher National Training Center and paid wrestlers $24,000 a year, plus rent-free houses and meals. He insisted everyone call him Coach or Golden Eagle. Mark Schultz signed first. Dave followed in 1989 with his wife Nancy and their 2 small children. Dave was different. When John showed up drunk at 2 a.m. waving a pistol, Dave calmed him down. When John claimed the trees were crawling toward the house, Dave offered to measure them in the morning. Dave became the only person John completely trusted. The cracks appeared slowly. In 1983, John married occupational therapist Gail Wank after she treated his injured hand. They lasted 90 days. She later testified that he threatened her with a shotgun and tried to push her into a fireplace. The divorce was final in 1987, and John removed her from every will forever. In 1988, Villanova University shut down DuPont's wrestling program after assistant coach Andre Metzger filed a sealed sexual misconduct lawsuit. John paid to make it disappear. By 1992, the delusions had taken over. John claimed Nazi symbols appeared in the dust on his piano. He said the walls bled when he wasn't looking. He installed razor wire around the training center and drove an armored personnel carrier to practice. One week, he fired every black athlete because the color black was sucking out his energy. The next week, he ordered every building on the farm painted matte black because Foxcatcher was in mourning. He accused Dave Schultz of being part of an international conspiracy to kill him. Dave laughed it off. Dave always laughed it off. January 1996. John had stopped sleeping. He picked at his skin with a knife, convinced bugs lived inside him. He told Security Chief Patrick Goodale that Dave was plotting his murder. Goodale, a former Marine, believed the man who signed his checks. On January 26th at 2:42 p.m., John loaded a .44 Magnum and climbed into the Lincoln. Goodale rode shotgun. They drove half a mile to the guest house Dave had called home for 7 years. Dave stood outside in the cold, snow dusting his shoulders, fiddling with the radio in his Toyota. He saw the car and waved. "Hi, Coach." John rolled down the window. Do you have a problem with me? He fired 3 times. The first bullet struck Dave's arm. The second hit his back. The third entered his chest. Dave fell face first into the snow. Nancy ran out barefoot. John pointed the gun at her, then lowered it. He reversed away. For 48 hours, John barricaded himself in the mansion. He phoned his lawyer 45 times. Police recorded every word. On the second night, they shut off the heat. John stepped outside to restart the boiler. Snipers dropped him in the floodlights. The trial began in September 1996. Prosecutors proved John had asked for extra bullets that morning. Premeditation. Defense psychiatrists testified that John believed Dave was a Russian spy living inside a hollow tree. On February 25, 1997, the jury returned, guilty of third-degree murder, but mentally ill. Sentence, 13 to 30 years. Nancy Schultz filed a wrongful death suit. The settlement was rumored at $35 million and never disclosed. John spent his prison years at Somerset, then Laurel Highlands. He tried a hunger strike and gave up after 30 days. From his cell, he ordered the remaining Foxcatcher barns painted black again. He wrestled in the yard in his red singlet until guards made him stop. On December 9th, 2010, at age 72, guards found him unresponsive at 6:55 a.m. He was buried in his Foxcatcher singlet at the Du Pont de Nemours Cemetery. His final will left 80% of his estate, hundreds of millions, to Bulgarian wrestler Valentin Jordanov and his family. 20% went to a wildlife foundation John had founded. Nothing went to any DuPont relative. Courts upheld the will twice. Foxcatcher Farm is gone. The mansion was demolished in 2013. The wrestling center was bulldozed. A luxury community called Leicester now stands where Dave died. The old dairy barn, repainted cream, serves as the neighborhood clubhouse. Nancy founded the Dave Schultz Wrestling Club. Mark wrote the memoir. And no matter where you are tonight, Chicago, Manchester, Glasgow, Toronto, Sydney, or a quiet farmhouse in the middle of nowhere, a listener drifts off to sleep knowing that sometimes the darkest monsters wear friendly faces. True Crime Sleep Stories is hosted and created by Kelly Brink, produced with the support of our dedicated team. Subscribe, rate, and review us on your favorite podcast platform to help us keep telling these haunting tales. Visit patreon.com/KellyBrink for exclusive content and to join our community. Thank you for listening, and we'll meet you in the shadows next time. Until then, stay safe out there and lock your doors. Good night.